Добрый вечер всем. Мы через пару минуток начнем. Сейчас пока последние технические приготовления. Всех очень рада видеть. Очень здорово, что нас снова много. Так, всем ли меня слышно? Давайте проверим для начала звук. Отлично. Да, вижу, слышно. Для тех, кто впервые присоединился на занятия, у нас в течение этого модуля будет синхронный перевод. И в 8 часов, когда подключится переводчик, внизу в меню появится глобус с возможностью перевода. То есть если вам требуется перевод на русский язык, вам нужно будет выбрать русский язык в этом месте, по этой кнопочке. Сейчас пока этой кнопочки не видно.
Может, сразу включить?
Да, пожалуйста, если можешь, конечно же.
Друзья, видите?
Да, вот у нас внизу теперь уже появилась эта кнопка.
Может быть, можно сказать несколько вводных слов?
Давай.
Да. Ну, во-первых, всем большое спасибо за то, что за то, что присоединились. Мы очень рады начать очередной модуль программы открытия буддизма. И я, наверное, чуть-чуть расскажу о программе. Она у нас идет уже очень много лет, мне кажется, очень. Мне кажется, это 3-й или 4-й цикл. Какой, Настя? Кто-нибудь 5-й?
Нет, 4-й.
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 Да, 4-й цикл. И периодически мне выпадает честь открывать какие-то занятия. Лет, наверное, 10 или 12 назад, очень давно, я его первый раз. Вот. И каждый раз это новый опыт. То есть в этот раз мы начали цикл с учений и лекций Рабины, достаточными Рабины, и она зажгла, как и в первый раз, мне кажется. Первый раз тут тоже, возможно, она открывала, как приглашенный учитель. Вот. И сегодня у нас будет прекрасный учитель, достаточно Оливье, которого Лама Сопа Ринпоче, духовный лидер организации в ПМТ, в один из своих визитов он наказал ему следить за нашим центром и помогать нам. То есть это учитель, который присматривает за нами. Вот. И он, конечно же, обладает очень хорошей квалификацией, это совершенно точно. Вот. И этот курс, он рассчитан на то, чтобы познакомить людей с буддизмом, познакомить его с буддизмом в манере очень последовательной и достаточно глубокой, чтобы затем можно было отправиться в такое самостоятельное плавание по волнам философии и углубленному изучению того аспекта буддизма, который наиболее подходит к условиям жизни, к особенностям, которые есть вокруг, и к тому, что хочется достичь. Ну, вообще курс открытия буддизма, он был разработан европейскими учителями для того, по просьбе ламы Сопа Ринпоче, был разработан европейскими учителями для того, чтобы европейцам было проще, для тех, кто не знаком с буддийской психологией, буддийской философией и кто не впитал ее с молоком матери в исторических буддийских регионах, для того, чтобы таким людям было проще погрузиться и понять основную ценность этого глубокого метода трансформации собственного ума. И со всего состоит программа из 13 модулей, и эти модули рассказывают об уме, о карме, о драгоценном человеческом рождении, о свободах, которыми мы обладаем, о том, как работает закон причинно-следственной связи, о том, как развивать любовь, о том, как развивать сострадание, и, в частности, о том, как глубоко постигать реальность в самом высшем ее аспекте. И вот именно этой очень сложной части посвящен вот этот курс про пустотность. Он у нас идет вторым, так получилось, и, может быть, Настя может рассказать, почему он идет вторым. Но как бы достаточно Рабина, она подвела нас к тому, что после того, как вы познакомились с медитацией, можно уже и изучить саму природу реальности, потому что она нам рассказывала про медитации на Махамудре в том числе. И если мы логически продолжим этот путь медитации на Махамудре, то мы обязательно должны прийти к правильному постижению пустотности, как к логическому продолжению. И с другой стороны, достаточно Оливье тоже рассказал нам, когда мы готовились и обсуждали с ним тему. Настя, поправляй меня, если я что-то не так говорю. Вот, что это будет очень хорошее дополнение, и это тоже нам надо сделать. Поэтому обычно, вот если брать последовательное изложение, то модуль о пустотности, он где-то в середине. И он является одним из самых, наверное, сложных во всем курсе открытия буддизма. Однако вот у нас он второй, после первого. Это очень интересно, и так мы ни разу не делали, мне кажется. Вот, поэтому в первую очередь я хочу пожелать всем в этом модуле, во-первых, оставаться с нами, во-вторых, не падать духом, если будет сложно, вот, потому что это, по крайней мере, самый философский, наверное, один из самых интересных модулей, которые есть во всей программе. Поэтому эти вот, наверное, две вещи. А что я еще должен рассказать, Настя?
Да, еще пара слов про сертификат.
Пара слов про сертификат. У нас есть зачетные книжки, и, в принципе, программа международная. Да? Она идет во всех центрах, практически во всех центрах FPMT, она идет по всему миру, и можно проходить часть модулей в одном месте, часть в другом. А если вы прошли все модули, соответственно, в зачетке у вас появились все необходимые записи, и вы сдали экзамен, то вы можете стать учителем FPMT, зарегистрированным, и эту программу преподавать самостоятельно. Есть две особенности. Нужно сделать обязательные практики, для того, чтобы получить такую полную сертификацию и иметь возможность преподавать. Вот, но в любом случае, по прохождении каждого модуля и сдаче некой экзаменационной работы или ответа на вопросы финального и прохождения ретритов в конце, у нас может быть выдан сертификат. Правильно я говорю? Да, правильно. Вот. И это хорошо. Почему? Потому что, в принципе, с сертификатом в одном центре, если вдруг вы окажетесь где-то в Австралии или в Соединенных Штатах Америки или во Франции, вы можете там пройти следующий модуль, а потом еще где-нибудь. И вот так можно пройти всю программу в разных местах мира. Вот. Так, и что еще?
Давай скажем про обязательность обязательность домашнего задания выполнения каждую неделю.
А что нужно сказать про это? Что это обязательно, или что это желательно, или что будет тест в самом начале каждого следующего занятия? И
да, друзья, у нас каждую неделю вы будете получать домашнее задание. Пожалуйста, читайте, пожалуйста, медитируйте. Домашнее задание будет состоять из видео прошедшего занятия, текста брошюры для обязательного чтения и медитации. И большая просьба: не оставляйте эти письма непрочитанными, а постарайтесь применять на практике. В этом будет прежде всего польза для вас самих. И план этого модуля вы наверняка видели уже при получении писем от нас. У нас будет 5 занятий с достижением Оливье и ретрит выходного дня, когда мы с вами встретимся, это будет 18 или 19 декабря, когда мы с вами встретимся и проведем ретрит по медитациям с опорой на наставление достижения Оливье для этого ретрита. Итак, давайте еще раз проверим, что у всех есть возможность подключения к переводу. Внизу в меню вы можете увидеть кнопочку с глобусом, обозначение «Перевод». И там вы можете выбрать русский язык, если вам требуется перевод. Если в течение занятия у вас будут возникать вопросы, пожалуйста, постарайтесь задавать вопросы касательно темы занятия. Вы можете все их писать в чат, и в момент, когда достаточно Оливье предоставит для этого возможность, мы озвучим эти вопросы из чата. Отдельный переводчик поможет нам с этим. И с переводом нам сегодня помогает наш дорогой переводчик-синхронист Диана Воронина, и Катя Карпова будет помогать с переводом вопросов из чата. И мне кажется, достаточно Оливье уже с нами, наверное.
Как бы его найти?
Посмотри, пожалуйста,
Я, кажется, нашел. Вот.
Ага. Супер. Угу. У него, видимо, просто видео у него нет.
Дорогие друзья, пожалуйста, в течение занятия следите за тем, чтобы у вас были выключены микрофоны, чтобы мы друг другу не мешали. И если вдруг потребуется задать вопрос голосом, пожалуйста, помогите нам, чтобы мы вас легко и быстро смогли найти в списке участников. Нас так много. Для этого вам нужно будет нажать синюю кнопочку с рукой. Вот вы ее можете увидеть в колоночке участников внизу. Venerable, hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. Okay, so let me...
I just want to say that we have a translation already, simultaneous translation already enabled. У нас уже есть перевод. Соответственно, друзья, я думаю, что будет хорошо, если вы выберете русский перевод в ваших окошках перевода. И, Диана, ты можешь сказать всем, чтобы все помахали ручкой, что перевод работает? Отлично, перевод работает. So we have a translation. It is working.
Okay. Okay. So we can start. What do we say? Yeah. Everybody's there. Okay. With my translator. Can I see my translator?
Just a second. Just a second. Yes.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Nice to see you. Okay. So I have a fault. I speak very, very quickly. Okay. So if there is a problem, sometimes just please stop me or recall me, remind me to go slower, or to repeat eventually. Okay? There's no problem. Okay. I have this defect. I know. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Good evening, everybody. And so I think I was supposed to come to Russia at some point, but due to unfortunate event, this could not happen. But fortunately, we have technology, and so we can still, communicate to each other. Okay. So before we start, we have to correct our motivation. Okay. So we have to think that we are very fortunate because we are human. We have obtained the human rebirth. And we have met the Buddha Dharma, and we are still alive today. So this means that many opportunities are offered to us to create the cause of future happiness and eliminate the cause of suffering. Okay, so this is the potential that we have. So in terms of happiness, even though we have obtained, you see, one of the higher form of existence, we can still see that it is very unsatisfactory, and our life is full of problem and insatisfaction and various suffering. So in terms of the happiness, we have to understand that the mere attainment of the higher existence inside cyclic existence is very unsatisfactory. So we have to raise our level of motivation, and we have to understand that the nature of a mind is pure, and the defilements, all of these distortions that we have that create like so much suffering for us and others, they do not penetrate the nature of the mind. So if we apply the correct antidote, we can eliminate all of these unfortunate occurrences in our mind, which are adventitious, and actualize a state of mind where the mind, you see, due to its functioning, it creates happiness, only happiness, and it is unconditioned by external event, unconditioned by external circumstances. It's just by the mere functionings of the mind create like a happiness. Okay, so this is what we call in Buddhism liberation of nirvana. Okay, so but we also have to think that this is not enough. We have to raise again our level of motivation, and taking into consideration all sentient beings, and we have to think that they are exactly like us. See, we wish for happiness. We have not enough of happiness, but we only experience problems and suffering one after another. So because we are human, and because we have met the Buddha Dharma, we have the possibility, you see, if we train our mind, not to make this mind a source of happiness for ourselves, but also for others. Okay, we can develop qualities, develop qualities, and obtain a state of mind where it becomes also a source of happiness for others. So that should be our motivation. Okay, so the culmination of this potential, of this form of consciousness, is the state of Buddha. So for those who are familiar, this motivation, the wish to attain this state for the happiness of others, is called bodhicitta. So for those who have a familiarity, they can think in this way. And for those who still don't know what is the state of Buddha, and what are the qualities there, and what are these characteristics, then maybe for now it's enough to think that through our listening, reflection, contemplation, and practice, may I actualize a state of mind where I can become a source of happiness and peace for others, and that would be fantastic. Okay, in terms of motivation, and we should try to keep this motivation going. Okay, and so with this motivation, then now we can start by reading the Heart Sutra. I don't know if you probably you do that, yeah. So the Heart Sutra that teach explicitly the profound emptiness. So since it is the topics of our meeting, I think it's very good to read. Okay. So how do you do that? Someone is. There's no way I can read in Russian. Okay, there's no way. So someone is starting the recitation. Okay. So I'm going to read in French, and you guys you read in Russian. Okay. So. Ainsi ai-je entendu l'occasion le Bhagavan se trouvait à Jagaya sur les pics des vautours en communion spirituelle avec la rassemblée des moines de l'ensemble des animaux comme ça pour sur plus profonde clarté. À ce moment, le grand être, mais ça doit réalité, je raconte alors à chaque fois, il devrait consécutivement de façon pareille que les 5 règles pour la forme vide, la vie des formes, pour la forme de la sensation, la modification des formations, la conscience sont élevées. Ainsi, chacun peut trouver les phénomènes sont développés de par les caractéristiques qui sont les produits du tout, ici, mais il y a une émission aussi, par conséquent, chaque fois, la uniforme, sensation, l'édification, les formations, les consciences, les émissions biodiversité, les phénomènes de l'élément de la conscience mentale en passant par l'élément du mental.
Мы можем прочитать все вместе по-русски. Может быть, Диана, ты можешь прочитать, чтобы лидировать для всех? Сутра сердца, совершенство мудрости. Поклоняюсь 3 благородным, редким и высшим. Так я слышал однажды. Бхагаван пребывал в Раджагрихе на горе Коршуна с великой общиной монахов и великой общиной бодхисаттв. В то время Бхагаван погрузился в сосредоточение, исследующее перечень дхармы, именуемая видимость глубины. И в то же самое время Бодхисаттва Махасаттва, Арья Валакитешвара, рассматривая практику глубины пражни парамиты, узрел, что 5 скандх пусты от самого бытия. Тогда достопочтенный Шарипутра, побуждаемый силой Будды, обратился к Бодхисаттве Махасаттве Арья Валакитешваре с таким вопросом. Если какой-нибудь сын благородной семьи хочет приступить к практике глубокой пражни парамиты, как ему следует выполнять ее? На это Бодхисаттва Махасаттва Арья Валакитешвара так ответил достопочтенному Шарадвати-путре. Шарипутра, те благородные сыновья или благородные дочери, что желают приступить к практике глубокой пражни парамиты, должны ясно и безупречно видеть эти 5 скандх пустыми от самого бытия. Форма есть пустота, пустота есть форма. Нет пустоты помимо формы, и нет формы помимо пустоты. Также пустые ощущения, развлечения, формирующие факторы и сознание. Так, Шарипутра, и все дхармы есть пустота. Не имеют отличительных признаков, не возникают и не исчезают. Не загрязнены, не чисты, не ущербны и несовершенны. Поэтому, Шарипутра, в пустоте нет формы, нет ощущений, нет развлечения, нет формирующих факторов, нет сознания, нет глаза, нет уха, нет носа, нет языка, нет тела, нет ума, нет формы, нет звука, нет запаха, нет вкуса, нет осязаемого, нет харм, нет сознания от зрительного до умственного. Нет неведения, нет прекращения неведения. И далее, вплоть до того, что нет старости и смерти, и нет прекращения старости и смерти. Также нет страдания, источника, пресечения, пути. Нет высшей мудрости, нет достижения, и нет даже недостижения. Поэтому, Шарипутра, поскольку в бодхисаттв нет достижения, они опираются на пражни парамиту и пребывают в ней. Поскольку в их сознании нет препятствий, нет и страха. Полностью отойдя от превратного, они тем самым достигают нирваны. Также и все Будды, пребывающие в 3 временах, явственно и всецело достигли полного, непревзойденного, наивысшего просветления, опираясь на глубокую пражни парамиту. А потому мантра пражни парамиты, мантра великого знания, несравненная мантра, мантра равная непревзойденному, мантра полностью успокаивающая все страдания известна как истина, ибо она безобманна. Мантра пражни парамиты гласит «Таятаум гаты гаты парагаты парасам гаты боды соха». Шарипутра, так Бодхисаттвы Махасаттвы должны изучать глубокую пражни парамиту. Затем Бхагаван, выйдя из самадхи, похвалил Арью Валакитешвару Бодхисаттву Махасаттву. Превосходно, превосходно, сын благородной семьи, так есть, так должно быть. Именно так, как показано тобой, следует практиковать глубокую пражни парамиту, ибо тогда возрадуются даже татагаты. Когда Бхагаван изрек эти слова, возрадовали достопочтенные Шарадвати-путры, Бодхисаттва Махасаттва Валакитешвара и все собравшиеся вместе с богами, людьми, асурами, ганхарами, и все восславили слова Бхагавана. На этом заканчивается Арья Бхагавати Пражня Парамита Хридая Сутра.
Thank you. And then it is followed, generally it is followed by the taking refuge 3 times. So we can all recite the refuge 3 times together. Yeah. So do you have like a text, or we just do like this? Okay. Sangye jodon zoge zono jongjo bondo donne gyabzo ji dage jinzo gebe zono nge adrola benje sangye droba jo sangye jodon zoge zono jongjo bondo donne gyabzo ji dage jinzo gebe zono nge lola benje sangye droba jo sangye jodon zoge zono Janjo Bando Dane Gyabzo Jia Dage Jinzo Gyaba Zonangi Lola Benji Sangye Droba Yo. Thank you. So before to start, maybe I want to ask, if well, most of the students, they are like new, or they have received some teachings in their knowledge in Buddhism, or most of them are completely new. Like, this
Друзья,
is
вы можете поднимать руки. Можете поднимать руки. Если вы новые, поднимите руки просто.
So this is the discovering Buddhism, right? So before, what kind of module did you have?
In this circle of discovering Buddhism, there was a module on mind and also a module of meditation.
Okay, very good. Okay, so in terms of the mind, this introduction is going to serve as the review. You see, it becomes a good review for you. Okay, thank you very much. So after the Buddha attained enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, okay, he taught the Four Noble Truths, the truth of suffering, the truth of origin, and the truth of cessation, and the truth of the past. And this became the basis, okay, for all the later teachings that the Buddha gave. Okay, so also he taught the Four Noble Truths into this first turning of the wheel. All the teachings of the Buddha, we talk about, in general, we said that there's 84,000 bundles of teachings, and all of these teachings, they can be classified in a different type. We can talk about the 3 principal aspects of the past. We can talk about different vehicles, the 2 vehicles, and also we can talk about the 3 turnings of the wheel. Okay, so in terms of this, the first turning of the wheel, it talked about the Four Noble Truths. And but the meaning, you see, the meaning of true cessation, which was originally taught in the Four Noble Truths, was most explicitly taught in the second turning of the wheel. So the second turning of the wheel was done, subsequently in Rajagriha, and the Heart Sutra that we recite at the beginning is part of this second turning of the wheel. Okay, so in this second turning of the wheel, which is called the wheel of the absence of characteristics, the Buddha explicitly, he taught emptiness and the mode of abiding of phenomena, the nature of phenomena. And in a hidden manner, he taught about all the stages of the past. This was hidden. So the stages of the past, which what we call also the vast, is like the old stages that the bodhisattvas and the here and solitary realizers, but in particular the bodhisattva, they have to go through to attain the full potential, the full awakening potential of their mind. So we talk about the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, and the path of no more learning, which is the result. So this was hidden. This teaching was hidden inside is vast, extensive presentation of the ultimate mode of abidings of phenomena, okay, the emptiness, okay. So while teaching emptiness directly, see, he taught the 2 truths, okay, the conventional and the ultimate truths, and the complete meaning of nirvana and cessation was included into this second turning of the wheel. Then subsequently, you had the Buddha gave the third turning of the wheel, because there was some like a necessity. They were like a necessity, because in the first turning of the wheel, the Buddha explained the Four Noble Truths, and in particular, he presented the selflessness in the absence of self in a very coarse way. He talked about the emptiness of a self-sufficient, substantially existent self. Okay, and he said that all phenomena were truly existent. He didn't talk about the emptiness of phenomena. And in the second turning of the wheel, that was, you know, the more profound. He explained emptiness into the absence of inherent existence, the absence of all nature, of the self, and of all phenomena. Okay? So those are technical terms, but we'll come, you know, slowly we will clarify everything. So you don't worry. Okay. So you see, some disciples they saw like contradiction between the first turning of the wheel and the second turning of the wheel in terms of the presentation of the nature of things. They saw that they were not concordant. So the Buddha felt the necessity to give a third cycle of teachings called the wheel of the correct discrimination. Okay, where he taught the three natures, the other power nature, the imputational nature, and the thoroughly established nature, and where he discriminate with what was truly existent and what was not truly existent. This was again interpretable. Okay, his definitive meaning was already contained in a second turning of the wheel. So anyway, also in the third turning of the wheel, he taught explicitly the Buddha nature, or the Tathagata Garbha essence. You see this potential that every sentient being has to attain the full enlightened state, you know, the state of Buddha. If you have a mind, then necessarily you have this potential to attain this the state of the Buddha. So that was taught in a third turning of the wheel. So he explained that all sentient beings, they have this Buddha nature, which is the ability, you see, to become enlightened, and he explained it in terms of the nature of the mind, and then the nature of the mind, which is empty of inherent existence, and therefore it is suitable to be transformed into the enlightened experience, you know, free from limitation of obscurations, etc. Okay, so that was the basis of the teachings of Maitreya later on into the Uttara Tantra, where he explained so which the mind is pure by nature and is free of defilement. You see, the problem that we have this basic distortion of reality, and because we have this distortion of reality, we have mistaken with respect to the appearance of things, and we believe. And then attachment, aversion, jealousy, envy, arrogance, belligerence, all of these mental afflictions, you know, they always arise in our mind, and they disturb the peace of our mind. Okay, so those mental states, you see, those mental states, they are adventitious. They do not penetrate this nature of the mind. This is what the Buddha explained in the third turning of the wheel. So therefore, this means that by applying the right path, the right method, one can eliminate, see, all of these defilements from the surface of the mind, and remain completely undisturbed, whatever the circumstances. Okay, so actually, so it is really because the mind, you see, it lacks inherent existence, then it is changeable, and it is because it depends on cause and condition. So the meaning of inherent existence, we have like 5 sessions to clarify that. So don't worry, okay, it'll become hopefully clearer and clearer. Inherent existence means, you see, to exist by your own nature, to have your own nature. So if you look at things, you see, in a non-analytical and spontaneous manner, we believe we believe in the appearances. And if you try to analyze a little bit the nature of this appearance, you will see that phenomena and person and phenomena seems to retain to have an objective existence, you see, an objective existence, to exist from their own side. Over there's a table. Over there's a person. Over there's a computer. You see, from their own side, they return to have their own entity, their own existence, which is completely independent from the mind. That's the appearance that we have. See, we have this appearance that phenomena, there seems to exist independently on the mind, independently from the mind, and to have their own nature, So that's the appearance that we receive. And we are always under the influence of the appearance. And we also, most of the time, under the influence of the mind that believe in this appearance. And this is what we call ignorance. And because we believe in this appearance, you see, we generate all type of mental afflictions. Okay? So this will come clear slowly. So if some things exist by way of its own nature, you see, if things exist the way they seems to appear, then they do not depend on causes and conditions. In particular, they do not depend on the mind, see, to exist. If something has its own nature, you see, is not under the influence of other factors. That's very contradictory. See, that's completely contradictory. To exist by your own power, or to exist by your own nature, and to be dependent on others, on causes and conditions, on other factors, is completely contradictory. So what we have to understand slowly is that phenomena actually exist as a dependent origination. They exist in dependence on cause and condition, and therefore they don't have their own nature. They don't have their own nature. This is very important. Okay? It will come clear slowly. So because something, you see, exists in dependence on causes and condition, it doesn't have its own nature. It doesn't have a known nature. It doesn't have its own entity. It doesn't exist by way of its own power, and therefore it can change. See, if things exist by way of their own power, they are able to establish themselves up. They have an independent existence. Then you cannot change. Because having your own entity, existing by way of your own nature, you are not subject to be influenced by other factors. So because phenomena are completely empty of this mode of existence, and because they exist only independent on causes and conditions, if you change, you see, if you change the causes and conditions, if you change the factor, then the nature of the result is also changed. So that's the very important point. That's our best quality. I see, our best quality is really that because our mind does not exist by its way of its own characteristics, and because our mind doesn't have its own nature, it depends on causes and conditions. Therefore, the mind can change. Yeah? That's the main point here. But I think that this. You should be familiar with this because that's the main topic of the previous module. Okay, so if something, you see, when we say that something depends on other phenomena, it means that those phenomena can change. If you change the factors, the causes and conditions, then the result will change. If you're not depending on anything, if we had an inherent existence, then we will not be able to change. We will not be under the influence on causes and conditions because we exist independently. We have an autonomous existence. We exist by way of our own power. Okay, so that's one point here. So during this second turning of the wheel, when the Buddha taught about emptiness, he taught that all phenomena whatsoever, they lack inherent existence. The Buddha taught that all phenomena can be made to change because they are dependent on causes and conditions. So you see, if something exists in the universe, not only in this world, but in the universe in general, it necessarily it is necessarily empty of inherent existence. Something which has inherent existence, I hope you will come to understand by the end of this seminar, that something that has inherent existence cannot exist. It's impossible. We'll come into analysis and reflection, and we will see slowly together that inherent existence is an aberration. Inherent existence is a wrong consciousness. You see, the mind that grasps at inherent existence is a wrong consciousness. Okay. So now, also phenomena, they like inherent existence, they appear to us as if they were inherently existent. You see, that's the problem. That's the main problem. So why? Because our mind has been always under the influence of ignorance. The ignorance is somehow associated with the mind since beginningless time. There is not, in Buddhism, we don't believe that they were like a primordial state in which the mind was pure and then it became contaminated over time. It is not like this. The mind, which is a constituent, in the same way that there's like matter is the constituent of the person. You see, they have its own continuum, and in terms of the matter, you see, you can it has its own continuum, and you can trace it back, see, to the Big Bang, as the continuity of matter can be traced back to the Big Bang, and even before in Buddhism, because before the Big Bang there were like there's like a empty space. There's this empty period of time, and the matter was existing at the level of potential. We call it the space particles. So anyway, and we think that Big Bang is something cyclic, you know, it comes and goes, it comes and goes. So the matter has its own continuum, and it can be traced back. And in the same way, the mind has its own continuum, and it can trace back. You see, the mind is not the person. The mind is a constituent in the same way that the matter, you see, the atoms of carbons, the molecules, the atoms that compose our body are not the person. It is not the person. It's just the constituent of the person. In the same way, the mind is not the person. It is just a constituent of the person. Is a part of the person. Okay, so that mind also has this continuum, and since beginningless time, it has no. In the same way that the matter has no beginning, the mind also the constituent, which is clear and knowing, has no beginning, and it has always been associated with ignorance. And because of this association, then phenomena appears to us due to the imprint of ignorance. Phenomena appear to us as if they had inherent existence, and if they have inherent existence. So only through analysis we can understand that there is a contradiction between the mode of appearance and the mode of abidance of phenomena. You see, emptiness, it is something that you can only understand through analysis. So you have to probe, you have to take the person and other phenomena and analyze them to see if the appearance and the mode of abidance, they are concordant. By understanding there is a contradiction between the mode of appearance and the mode of abidance, you can understand that the mind, you see, is mistaken with respect to this mode of appearance and mode of grasping. We'll come to discuss that in further detail. So not only phenomena appear to us as inherently, but as having inherent existence, but we adhere to that, see, and we actually determine that they exist effectively as they appear. See, we adhere to that, and we determine that they exist inherently, and due to that, then we have craving, desire, anger that arise in our mind. You see, the afflictions, what we call the afflictions, which are like 6 root affliction and 20 secondary, they arise in our mind as a logical answer, as a logical response to a particular type of conception of the world. Because we think that everything exists inherently by its own power, because we think that characteristics, you see, are inherent to the object. Some objects are inherently pleasant, some objects are inherently unpleasant. Then, as a response, as an effect, you see, the response to this mode of conception of reality, then affliction arise in the mind, and ignorance and the affliction, they have the same mode of operation. So that the ignorance conceives the phenomena to be truly existent, and attachment, for example, will conceive the phenomena, will observe the phenomena as being inherently pleasant. So because of this inherence that is perceived, then the affliction, you see, as a place to land. So it arises in the mind, and it lands in the and land in the phenomena. Yeah. Anyway, we see that. So when we that's no problem. You see, when we encounter, because we have this distortion of reality, when we encounter pleasant and interesting object, we generate a lot of attachment, and then we encounter distasteful, yes. Or appealing phenomena or person, then we generate a lot of anger. We get upset, we get angry. That's a logical answer to this mode of perceiving, but mostly conceiving reality. So we have to make the distinction between the appearance, you see, and the conception. The appearance is not ignorance. Appearance is not ignorance. Appearance is the, how can I put that? Appearance is, because the mind is under the influence of ignorance, then there is that appearance. Okay? It is due to the imprint of ignorance. So when we talk about attaining liberation is done by eliminating ignorance. The appearance will remain, at the beginning the appearance will remain, but that person do not conceive anymore, do not believe anymore in what appears to him or her. So we distinguish two levels of obscuration. We distinguish the one level of obscuration, which is the appearance of true existence, and we have another level of obscuration, which is the conceiving of true existence, the believing, the grasping, the conceiving true existence. That is the mind. Okay, so the ignorance is the mind. The appearance is literally is a non-aesthetic compositional factor, so it's not the mind. It's not mind. It's just a factor. It's the factor of appearance. So those two levels of obscuration, the elimination of those two levels of obscuration delineates the two results that can be attained in the two ultimate results that can be attained in Buddhism. So the one we eliminate ignorance, the mere elimination of ignorance, then you attain the liberation, okay, the nirvana, which is the main object of attainment in Buddhism in the Southeast Asia. The individual vehicle. This is the final object of attainment. It's the complete elimination of ignorance to attain the complete liberation. And by liberation, you have to understand, you see, a state of mind which is not anymore under the influence of the distortion of reality, the believing of the appearances, and therefore, you see, attachment, anger, aversion, pride, belligerence, resentment, all of these things, you see, like being stressed, being depressed, all of these things cannot arise anymore in the mind. So the mind is always at peace, whatever happens. Okay? So that's liberation, that's nirvana. And on the other hand, see, in the great vehicle, in the universal vehicle, which is the form of Buddhism that exists in Tibet, in China, and in North Vietnam. You can find it also in Japan, okay, and in part of Russia also. So you see, you have the Mahayana Buddhism, where the scope is not only the personal liberation, but the attainment of the state of Buddha to be of benefit to others. See, so it is really like rooted in altruism, in compassion. It's very profound, and to attain this level of mind, you have to eliminate the second level of obscuration, which is the appearance. Yeah? So you see, you have two obscuration. You have what we call the obscuration to liberation, and then you have the obscuration to, or the cognitive obscuration, afflicted. The first one is called also the afflicted obscuration, and the second one is called the cognitive obscuration, or obscuration to knowledge. There's many terminologies. Okay, so afflictive obscuration and cognitive obscuration. So you see, the Bodhisattva, not only after having eliminated the conception of true existence, ignorance, he will move on to eliminate this factor of appearance from his mind, and will purify his mind from a factor of appearance. And in this way, he will be able to simultaneously realize the two aspects of reality. Okay, the conventional reality and the ultimate reality. They will appear simultaneously to his mind. Okay, but we will go back to that. So anyway, the conception, you see, of the phenomena are as inherently existence is the wrong consciousness. Yeah, it is mistaken. Technically, we say it is mistaken toward its referent object, and this provides the foundation for all the problem that we have. All the problem, in particular, the problem. I mean, the foundation for all mental afflictions. So, if we generate an understanding that phenomena are not inherently existent, then it will act as a counterforce to that wrong consciousness. Yeah. Let's see, is that. So you see, for example, for one person, sometimes you can have love and affection for that person, and at other moments you can have like aversion and anger toward that person. So the object is the same, but you can have at different moment different attitude for that person. The love is a desire to benefit, a desire for that person to be happy, and aversion is a desire to harm the person. So those two, they cannot exist simultaneously on the same basis. They cannot exist simultaneously. Simply because they are not only contradictory, opposite, but they are direct contradiction. Direct contradiction means that if there is one, necessarily the other is not there. See, by the presence of one, avoid the possibility for the other to arise or to be there. So when you have love for that person, aversion cannot arise. See, love has to cease, and then aversion can arise. And in the same way, when aversion is manifest on the mind, is manifest, then love cannot be present. Because they are direct contradiction. So in terms of ignorance, it is the mind that conceives true existence. We have said before that it is mistaken with respect to the referent object. Ignorance is the conceptual mind. It's the conceptual mind, and this mind is adding something on the object. See, is adding something. What is this adding? Is adding existence by way of its own nature. Is adding inherent existence. This mind is adding a quality that the object right from the beginning never had, has not, and will never have. So that's the problem, you see, is the mind is conceiving the object to exist in a way that the object actually is completely deprived of. So we said that the conceptual mind has a referent object. So is adding something. So as an antidote, you're going to develop a wisdom that realize, see, that the object added by ignorance does not exist. So that mind, which is wisdom, realize the non-existence of the conceived object of the conception of true existence. So see, those two minds, they cannot exist simultaneously. From one side, you have the mind conceiving true existence, and then you have the wisdom that realizes the non-existence of true existence. So see, they are mutually contradictory. And this is how, you see, by developing this wisdom and cultivating that type of understanding and becoming more and more familiar with it, you will be able slowly to completely eliminate the conception of true existence, this mistaken mind that superimpose true existence on object and person. That's the way, you see, the wisdom, that the way the mind can, and everything is possible. And this is possible because the mind is empty of inherent existence. Because the mind does not exist by way of its own nature, because the mind does not exist by its own characteristics, then the mind can change and you can correct the mind. You see, by developing a certain types of understanding, then you will be able to eliminate a certain, level of ignorance. That's the way, that's the Buddhist program. That's the way Buddhism works. So Buddhism only liberate people by developing understanding, by developing wisdom. Does not liberate people by forcing you or forcing someone to do something, but only through analysis. And this is why, see, analysis is very, very important, especially when we come to the topic of emptiness, which is something that can be realized or understood only through reasoning. We'll come to that. Okay, so the defilement, okay, they can be removed from the mind. So if the delusion that define the mind are removable, okay, then the potencies, you see the seeds, because of the same nature, they also can be eliminated. So this absolute purity of the mind, which is its lack of inherent existence, that's the absolute purity of the mind, see, is taught explicitly in the second turning of the wheel, when the Buddha taught emptiness, because that's the ultimate nature of the mind, and that's the ultimate purity of the mind. When you read in the Buddhist scriptures that all phenomena are pure by nature, or they are primordially pure, we are talking about emptiness. Okay, we are talking about this emptiness. That's the natural purity of phenomena. And what happened after, during the third turning of the wheel, this natural purity of the mind is also explained, but not from the ultimate point of view, but also from the conventional point of view, that the nature of the mind, you see, is neutral and clear light. This is what is the mind, you see, if you want to, when we start to study the mind, we understand the mind as being this luminosity, the cognitive, this luminosity that allows to know things. So it has to be understood as a luminosity, and this luminosity, this clear light, okay, it is neutral. Okay, it's neutral. So there is also a purity here. So the delusion, you see, the affliction, they do not manifest all the time in our mind. Sometimes we are upset, sometimes we are happy, sometimes we have a lot of attachment, sometimes we don't have, sometimes we are like, we have a lot of pride, sometimes we don't, sometimes we are jealous, and we have envy, sometimes we don't. So the fact that sometimes we have delusions, or the mind is afflicted, and sometimes it is not, this clearly shows, you see, that the real nature of the principal mind, the mental consciousness, the real nature of the mind is pure, okay, is pure. But due to the presence of the mental factor, the mental events, the mental factor that accompany the principal mind, then sometimes it appears to be virtuous, sometimes it appears to be non-virtuous, due to the presence of this mental factor. So maybe, I don't know, you guys have seen, you know, the presentation of the principal mind and the mental factor? You have seen that already? That's a question. Yes, no, no, okay. No. So when we come to look at the mind by definition, we have seen, you know, is clear and knowing. So it is, yeah. How can I put that? Clear refers to the ability of the mind to reflect the object. Okay? That's the way perception takes place. The mind generates itself in the aspect of the object. Exactly like, for example, if you have like a blue cloth, a piece of a blue cloth, and then you put a crystal, a very clear crystal on the top, you see then the crystal reflect the blue. That's the way the mind knows. It's like a mirror. It reflects things. We said that the object casts its aspect to the mind. So the object, you see, casts its aspect to the mind, and the mind generates itself into the aspect of the object. Okay, so that's how cognition takes place. So this the clear into the clear knower. The clear reflect to this refer to this ability of the mind to to reflect things, and then knower refers to this ability to generate ascertainment with respect to that aspect. See, to generate ascertainment, to understand. And when we divide the mind, there's many ways to look at the mind and to divide the mind. But here we talk about the principal mind and the mental factor. So the principal mind, we have, there are 6. Okay, the principal mind, there are 6 because we have like the eye consciousness, we have a visual consciousness, we have an auditory consciousness, olfactory consciousness, gustatory consciousness, tactile consciousness, and then the mental consciousness. Okay, so each of these consciousness, they have power with respect to a certain type of objects, and that this is the principal mind. And in the entourage, you see, in the retinue of this principal mind, you will have mental events. We call it mental factor that sees the attribute and characteristics of the object. The main mind only engage the main entity of the object, and the mental factor, they will engage the attribute and characteristics. For example, the visual consciousness is a bit dull because it only understands that there is a shape or color. That's what the visual consciousness operates toward shape and color. And then after, we have all this mental factor that will seize the different characteristic and attribute of the object. So in terms of the mental factor, there is a classification in 51, and we have different subdivision. We have, for example, omnipresent mental factor. The omnipresent mental factor, it means that there are 5, and it means that for any moment of consciousness, then at least you will have these 5. If there is not those 5, then the experience of the object is not possible. So, for example, you will have feeling, discrimination, you will have intention, mental engagement, and contact. Those are the 5 omnipresent mental factors. Then you will have determining mental factors that determine the object. For example, you will have like a meditative stabilization, for example. And then you have also a division of mental afflictions, 6 roots mental afflictions, and then 20 secondary mental afflictions. Then you will have also 11 virtuous mental factor, and 4 changeable or neutral mental factor. Okay, so that's more or less is the landscape of the Buddhist psychology. So the mind, see, the main mind is neutral, okay, and the mind becomes virtuous or non-virtuous only because you have certain types of mental factor coming at that time, arising at that time. See, for example, if you see a pleasant shape, okay, and then suddenly attachment arises, then due to the presence of attachment, which is a mental affliction, the entity of the whole mind become afflicted. Somehow the mental factor, everything becomes under the influence of the mental factor. On the other side, see, if you have, like, for example, a virtuous mental factor, for example, have love, compassion, or you have a wisdom, or you have faith, and then at that time, the whole consciousness becomes virtuous. So here, when we say that sometimes the mind is virtuous, sometimes the mind is not virtuous, what does that mean? It means that, you see, sometimes those mental events arise and they contaminated the mind when they are affliction, and sometimes other mental factor arise, like virtuous mental factor arise, and the mind become a positive or virtuous. So because, you see, because affliction are not always present, and because virtuous mental factor are not always present, then the conclusion is that the nature of the mind is neutral. And according to causes and condition, it can become virtuous or non-virtuous. That's the point here. Okay. So then we will see, we will go back to that. It's very important. So the mind by nature is clear light, and the defilements, you see, the delusions are adventitious. They are temporary and adventitious. So this indicates that if we practice or cultivate virtuous quality, then the mind can be transformed positively. We can accustom the mind over time. We can accustom the mind to work in a certain manner and gain familiarity with certain aspects and way of functioning. For example, for now, we are completely under the influence of mental afflictions almost all the time. As soon as we see something pleasant, then attachment comes. As soon as we see something unpleasant, then aversion arises. So see, the mind is neutral, okay, and it is a creator of habit. Is a creator of a habit. It means that if you accustom your mind to something, then it creates an habit, and it becomes very familiar, very intimate with that attitude, and that attitude arises naturally, effortlessly, and even stronger and stronger. So if we accustom our mind with mental affliction, and this is what we have been doing so far, okay, then affliction, they arise very easily, and they're very strong. And when they arise, they take the power of our mind, and everything that derives from the mind. What's derived from the mind is our thought process, obviously, but also our speech and our action of body. Everything derives from the mind. The mind is a creator of all. That's what it means. See, so as soon as we have a mental affliction, we are carried away, and we becomes under the influence of that mental afflictions. So, and that those mental affliction, as we said, they arise very, very strongly and effortlessly. You just have to look at something pleasant, and then attachment arises. Why? Because we have a strong familiarity with this type of mind, because we have a strong familiarity with this type of attitude. Therefore, they arise very spontaneously and they're very, very strong. Okay. But so we have to decondition, you see, we have to reprogram the mind. We have to reboot, reformat the mind, and to gain familiarity with other thought process. Another type of thought process, another type of activity also of the mind, which is toward virtue, and we will see why we have to do that. There is a lot of things to gain. Okay. so the mind, you see, already he has the potential to understand all phenomena. Is the potential is there, and that potential doesn't need to be strengthened. It just needs to be it is obscured. It is obscured. So we just need to eliminate, see, all of this obscuration, and this ability of the mind to know will reveal itself. So the attainment of the higher quality, you see, of the Buddha, etc. The seed of those qualities, see, they already exist in us. Yeah. Okay. So during this this third turning of the wheel of the doctrine, the Four Noble Truths, and we go back to the Four Noble Truths that were initially taught during the first turning of the wheel, the meaning of true path, actually, because the Buddha explained the Buddha nature in the third turning of the wheel, then the full meaning of true path was explained into the third turning of the wheel. By really defining the Tathagata Garbha, you see, or the nature, the Buddha nature, then the profound teaching on the true path was laid out at that time. So Buddha nature makes possible the attainment of the state of Buddha, obviously the omniscience, and the ultimate state of consciousness that sees phenomena, the conventional reality and the ultimate reality of phenomena simultaneously. So the complete explanation of the meaning of true cessation, the true cessation is an ultimate truth, it was given into the second turning of the wheel, and explained later on again at the time of the third turning of the wheel. Anyway, so when you see that the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha described, you see, they describe the fault and the defect that must be given up or eliminated, and this is through suffering and the true origin. And there is also a second pair of the Four Noble Truths. There's true path and true cessation, where the Buddha explained actually the method, the path to get rid of the suffering and the delusion through which is the complete cessation of all of this delusion. Okay, and this can be attained because everything can be attained because the mind, you see, does not exist by its own characteristics, doesn't have its own nature, it doesn't have an inherent existence. It depends on causes and condition, and since it depends on cause and condition, you see there is an openness there. There is a malleability. Dependent arising, depending on cause and condition, means malleability, and therefore the mind can change. So everybody can change in just a matter of time, and just a matter of will. Actually, you need to want to change. Yeah. So so this we covered. So the mind, you see, the mind that think of the suffering and the true origin of this suffering, and desire to gain emancipation from this state. You see, to the mind that really understand the problem deeply, the problem that we have in life, and the cause, the deep cause of those problems, and desire, you see, to cut the root of this problem. This is what we call the mind of definite emergence. Okay. This is what we call the mind of definite images, wrongly translated as renunciation. I think is renunciation should never be uttered. I think is the wrong translation. It's called definite emergence, where the mind actually, the person desire to emerge, see, from suffering. Definite emergence. And when we carefully consider, you see, the suffering, and not only that we experience, but also the suffering in general, we came to understand also that all the sentient beings, you see, they are subject to the same type of suffering, and slowly we can train ourselves in developing, you see, this mind of compassion that wish also to benefit others and to and desire to help also others to understand and to slowly eliminate this cause of suffering, and that mind, which is is induced by compassion. You see, this is the compassion which is active in some way, and there is also later on this special resolve, that desire, you see, to oneself actualize certain level of qualities to be able to effectively benefit others. Because even now, if we want to benefit others, we come to understand, how limited we are in terms of ability. You see, you need a very, very profound understanding and very deep qualities, vast qualities, to actually be able to individually help people, to overcome their own limitation and to emerge from ignorance and suffering. So that mind, that desire, see, to attain such level of quality, to actualize such quality in the mind in order to benefit others, it is this second aspect of the path, which is called the mind of enlightenment, the mind of the bodhicitta, which is the desire to oneself, see, transverse all the paths, actualize the result of the path to be able to benefit others effectively at the ultimate level. Okay, so that's the second aspect of the path, which is very, very important also. And then because phenomena do not have independent or inherent existence, they are, it is feasible, you see, to eliminate suffering and to attain the ultimate states. And that understanding that phenomena do not exist inherently is called the right view, and it's called the third aspect of the path. You see, all the Buddha's teachings, they can also be explained, classified in terms of those three mind. It is the three types of mind that we have to generate. The mind of definite emergence, that is based on the understanding of the nature of the suffering and the origin of the suffering. Then the mind, you see, of bodhicitta, which is the desire to, based on that understanding, and that desire to actually develop qualities to be able to help others ultimately. And okay, this is bodhicitta, and the understanding that all of this is possible only because all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, and also the mind is empty of inherent existence. It's called the right view. Okay, so this is the framework of the Buddha's path. You see, this is the whole framework of the Buddha's path. So in terms of what we have to practice, it is very very simple. We have to develop those three minds: the mind of definite emergence, the mind of bodhicitta, and the right view. So do we have, before I move on, is there any questions?
Hello, my name is Katya. I'm going to translate questions to you from Russian into English. So there is not only one question at the moment. So the question is, if the mind is empty, does it mean that it has not only potential to become Buddha, but any other potential as well?
In terms of other potential, it is what we are now, completely obscured, you see, obscured. And yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, the mind can become anything. The mind can become extremely, if the person can let the mind, you see, to degenerate, completely degenerate, and become more familiar with non-virtuous state of mind, and therefore suffer and create suffering around himself, around him, because someone who suffers, it is in general also someone who is disturbed in his mind, is also someone who somehow disturb others. Or, see, you can pacify this mental affliction by a correct understanding of reality and reach the culmination of this potential. So the emptiness of the mind, due to the ultimate nature of the mind and the conventional nature of the mind, you can reach a certain potential And why we should reach that potential, you see, is because we want to be happy. That's the main thing. You know, the whole reason for why we are here together, see, discussing, and actually the whole reason why we make any choice in our life. You see, starting from what kind of a haircut we are going to have, or the choice of the study, or how we dress ourselves, or the choice of life that we made. So all this you see this how can I say, this choice that you made, from the most spontaneous one to the one which is the more planned and projected, you see, is only because we want to be happy. That's the only reason. The mind, you see, the mind, it has this somehow this unique desire to be in contact with happiness, to be in contact with what makes him happy, and desire, you see, to be away from what disturb the mind. So by an understanding that all mental states create suffering, one becomes, you see, becomes very clear that if you want to be happy, you have to eliminate those states of mind. For example, you have to understand, you have to realize by yourself that when aversion arises, your mind is very disturbed. When jealousy arises, your mind is very disturbed. When envy arises, the mind is very disturbed. You see, belligerence, resentment, attachment, craving, longing, you see, you have to understand that all of this, you have to realize by yourself, you have to experience, you see, you have to live in a deeper introspection. You have to become more aware of what's happening in your mind, and also at the level of feeling, what kind of feeling accompany those mind, to really understand that as long as you have this, the possibility to generate this type of mental event, then for that long, you will never be happy. So then comes, you see, the understanding that, okay, I have to get rid of the mental affliction. Why do I have those mental afflictions? Is because on the foundation of this is a distortion of reality. So I have to eliminate the distortion of reality. And this is, you see, this is liberation. But then you take into consideration others. Wanting to achieve liberation for oneself alone is a little bit like, you see, like you are in a prison or in a camp, and then you are tortured, you know, with your family every day, and you make plan to escape yourself and leave the other behind. So that's not very very nice. So what you do, you try to develop qualities while you're going through the path. You see, not only you develop quality that are directly beneficial for yourself, but you also develop qualities that allows you to take care of others. And that's the Mahayana. And the culmination, you see, the culmination is what we call the state of Buddha. So yeah, the mind is empty of inert existence, and the mind, see, it can become anything. So far, the only thing that we haven't tried is to become Buddha. We have tried everything else. Okay, the only thing that we haven't tried is that. And according to me, you see, it is worthwhile trying. So yeah, I'm not sure. Did I answer the questions? Yeah. No feedback. Okay, so if I did not answer the question, okay, you just let me know. So as we have seen, we have three turning of the wheel. I have three turning of the wheel, and in the first turning of the wheel, we had the Four Noble Truths: the truth of suffering, the truth of origin, the truth of cessation, and the truth of the past. And you see, those four truths, they are in two sets of cause and effect. There's two sets of cause and effect. There is the true suffering and its origin, and there is the true cessation, the liberation, and there is the past that lead to that liberation. So you see, you have two sets, And they are not in the order of cause and effect, but in the order of effect and cause. First the effect, suffering, then after the cause, origin. Then after you have the effect, you see the cessation, and after the cause of that cessation, the past. So why it is understood, it is explained in this way, it is just because of the pedagogy there is behind. They are explained not in a sequence of cause and effect, but in a sequence of clear realization. This is the sequence in which the disciple realize, you see, the four truths. The sequence in which the disciple generate understanding in his mind. So first, he will understand suffering. What suffering is mean in this context. And this is why, you see, in Buddhism, there is such emphasis on suffering, and everything is suffering, everything is suffering, you see. Not because Buddhists, us, we are pessimistic, because actually I think that Buddhism is the most optimistic tradition you can find, because it proposes, you see, the complete elimination, or not even the concept of suffering, you see, exists. So that's what we're aiming for. So that's very optimistic, and we have all the potential for that. You have nothing to acquire externally. You have a mind, and that's enough. You have a mind, you can sit down and you can actualize the whole path. So, so first you need to have this understanding of suffering, because as long as you do not actually understand the situation in which you are, you will never have the idea, you see, to leave it behind. It's like Maitreya, you see, he has this image of like a sick person. First, you have to understand when you have a sickness, and to recover the state of health, to recover that, to gain that state of health, and to apply the cure and to go to the doctor and everything, you have to first to understand that you're sick, that you are sick. So once you understand that you are sick, that you are healed, then you will go to the doctor. The doctor will prescribe the cure, and you will absorb the medicine, and you will actualize the healthy state. So in the same way, this is why it is necessary first to understand suffering, to understand, you know, the states. What does that mean? What does that mean being in like a condition by karma and affliction? What does that mean? See deeply, to really generate the desire to eliminate, to get rid, you see, of this level. So after the presentation of suffering, after understanding suffering, you come to reflect. You see, you come to analyze. But is this suffering as a cause? Is this suffering cause? So what can be the cause of all of my problems? You see, is it like some kind of external entity that makes me suffer all day? You see, that is responsible to my problem? Is it like an external entity that has control, or is it random? Is it random, or does actually has a specific cause and condition? So you come to analyze, you come to reflect deeply on those things, and you come to understand that everything, you see, is dependent arising. Everything depends on causes and condition. And in terms of the law and cause and condition, all results, they depend on congruence or substantial cause, and there must be a similitude in nature between the cause and effect. And you come to understand, you see, you come to understand that there is this distortion of reality, and that's this distortion of reality that creates, you see, all of your problem. By understanding that there is a distortion of reality, that there is causes, that there is a cause, you come to analyze, you come to accept the possibility of eliminating the cause, and therefore not to experience the result of suffering anymore. And this is how, you see, you generate the desire to cultivate the past. So this is why, you see, the Four Noble Truths, they are presented in this sequence. Now, in terms of Four Noble Truths, we have seen that we have like two sets, true suffering and true origin, and true cessation and true past. So the true suffering and the true origin, they belong to the complete afflicted side. You see, the neurotic side, the afflicted side, the contaminated side, where due to being mistaken with respect to reality, then you are caught up into the law of cause and effect and the experience of suffering that goes on. So that this is explained in true origin and true cessation, the first two truths. And in the other two truths, the true cessation and true path, it is explained the thoroughly purified side, the thoroughly purified, or by gaining the proper understanding of reality, then you can emerge from this neurotic mode of existence. Okay, so you see the first two truths, they are directly linked. The truth of suffering and the truth of origin, they are directly linked to the conventional truths, what we call the conventional truths. And the true path and true cessation, they belong to the ultimate truth. Okay, they belong to the ultimate truth, the mode of abiding. The first two truths, true path and true cessation, true suffering and true origin, they are afflicted because we are caught up into a non-understanding of reality. True suffering and true origin are the result of being confused with respect to reality, being confused with respect to the we remain in the conventional truth, which is literally the etymology is the truth for a concealer. The truth for a concealer, kunsabdemba, means the truth, what is true for ignorance. You see, everything, when you open your eyes in the morning until the evening, everything is true only in a perspective of ignorance. That's the etymology of kunsabdemba. See, so you see, the first two truths, they're completely linked to the truth for a concealer, the conventional truth. And the other two truths, true path and true cessation, they are directly linked to the ultimate truth, the mode of abidance. See, cessation itself is an ultimate truth because it is the emptiness of the mind, free from stain. And then true path, it's just the direct, what is explained in true path is the direct perception of that reality. So how do you leave suffering? You see, you leave suffering. This is the confused mode of existence by entering an unconfused mode of existence that understand reality. Okay? That understand reality. So this is how you see those four truths. Those four truths, they also contain, you see, the two truths, the two aspects of reality. So when we talk about conventional truths and ultimate truths, we have to start to define those very briefly now. It will become more clear and more extensive later. The conventional truth and ultimate truth, you have to understand that this is not like two perspective. Okay, like I have a phenomena, and if I look at like this, it's a conventional truth, and if I look at like that, it's the ultimate truth. That is not what it's about. Conventional truths and ultimate truths are different phenomena that are found by different type of mind. So what we call the conventional cognizer of conventionality, it is the conventional mind. The conventional mind find the conventional truth. So conventional truth is all phenomena that are found by the conventional type of mind. What is a conventional type of mind? It is a mind that is not involved into analyzing the mode of existence of the pen. So the conventional mind is, what is this? This is the pen. Where does the pen exist? It exists in Italy. At what time? What are the characteristics of the pen? It is green, blah, blah, blah. He writes. All of this is conventional mind. So for us, all day, we have conventional mind. We only have conventional minds, okay? Everything that we see are conventional truths, okay? Everything that we perceive with our sense consciousness are conventional truths. And they are not all valid, because we have many types of mind which are not valid. That's another problem. And the ultimate truth, an ultimate truth, it is a phenomena which is found by an ultimate type of consciousness. What is an ultimate type of consciousness? It is a consciousness, you see, that investigate the mode of existence of the pen. The mode of existence of the pen. So it does not investigate the pen, it investigates the mode of existence of the pen. And that mind, you see, that mind that analyzes, it finds the emptiness of inert existence of the pen. It finds the ultimate, it finds the nature of the pen, which is to be empty of inert existence. So the two truths, the conventional truth and the ultimate truth, are positable on each and every phenomena. Each and every phenomena has a conventional truth and an ultimate truth. They are not two separate things. They are not two separate things, you see. See, if a phenomena exists, it has a conventional truth and it has an ultimate truth. The ultimate truth of the phenomena, it is his own emptiness of inert existence. His own emptiness of existence. You see, emptiness of inert existence is not some kind of emptiness, is not some kind of soup, you see, from which, you know, all phenomena arise. That's not the meaning. That's not the meaning. Every phenomena has his own emptiness. And that is the ultimate nature of that particular phenomena. We'll come to understand that. We'll come to, it will come slowly. So this module, you see, I feel a lot of pressure because it's very complicated, very important to understand it clearly. And if I make mistakes, you see, it will be a problem. It will be a problem. So I will try, you see, to be as clear as possible. And if you have question, you have to ask question. Okay. Don't remain with doubt. Doubt is, you should not bear doubt. You have to ask question, and if I can answer, you know, I'll be happy. If I cannot answer, then patience. Okay, it's like this. Okay, so so you see, you have the first two truths that describe the confused way to abide in cyclic existence and the suffering result that comes due to that type of conceiving reality, the confused mode of existence and its suffering. And the other two truths, they explain, you know, how to attain freedom from that. And it is all based on it is grounded into the understanding of reality. Because we understand things how they are, then we become free from mental affliction and we become free from karma. Okay, so so this is important to think about those things. So now, in terms of how do we cycle, say, in cyclic existence, and there is a very interesting quote from Chandrakirti in the Madhyamika. So all the things that I'm going through now are somehow in essence the main reflections that the main conclusion that are presented in the 6 chapters of the Madhyamika Avatar. You know, when the Buddha explained the emptiness of inert existence of all phenomena, the absence of characteristics, in the second turning of the wheel. Then later on, you know, because of people, you know, degenerate, then it was difficult to understand. Then Nagarjuna came up, and he composed the 5 treatises on valid cognition. The 5 treatises on reasoning, and in particular, is very famous for the treatise on the middle way, where he explains, he clarifies the final intention of the Buddha, I see, in terms of the emptiness of existence. And then after, because disciples degenerated even more and everything was becoming like even more difficult to understand for disciples, then Chandrakirti came up and he composed the Madhyamika Avatar, which is the commentary on Nagarjuna that comments the Buddha's second turning of the wheel. And then after, he also composed a self-commentary. It's called a supplement. And in the 6th chapter, it's all the main, it's the main text that it is studied in monastery when we want to understand emptiness. Okay, we come down to the Madhyamika Vatara, and in particular the self-commentary, and in the 6th chapter. The 6th chapter. So all of this that we are seeing together now, they mainly comes out of this 6th chapter, and also to help the disciple, because with the time we even get more degenerate and difficult to understand. Then Lama Tsongkhapa, you see, he composed the illumination of the thought, which is the commentary on Chandrakirti, that comment Nagarjuna, that comment the Buddha. So this is how it goes. And even this, it's very difficult to understand. We need to rely on the oral commentary. So the 6th chapter, you see this, for example, this illumination of the thought, which explain, the vast and the profound, and in particular emptiness. It more or less is 500 pages, and 350, they are only about the 6th chapter, emptiness. You see, this is on 350 pages. And the monks, they spend 4 years to studying this Madhyamika text. And so it is, if after our meeting, we have five meetings, if after we have gone through our 5 meetings together, and even though there is no much understanding, but at least, you see, you generated the wish to study more, I will have accomplished my purpose. You see, accomplish my purpose. Okay, so at the beginning, at the beginning of the text, Chandrakirti, it does not make homage to the Buddha, Bodhisattva, and like they do in other texts, but he pays homage to great compassion. Okay, and he pays homage to great compassion, and there's like three or four stanzas where he presents this homage to great compassion, and in particular, at some point, he explained the 3 types of compassion. There is the compassion, that observe sentient beings, which are merely qualified by suffering. And there is another type of compassion that observes sentient beings qualified by subtle impermanence. And then there is a 3rd type of compassion that observes sentient beings qualified by emptiness of existence. And in the stanza where he explained the compassion of sentient beings qualified merely by suffering, it says, initially there is adherence to a self, I, and then clinging to things is produced, this is mine. And it says, I bow to compassion for migrators who are powerless like the rambling watermill. So I think that the translator have these quotes. And in his supplement, he goes into explaining how sentient beings, cycle in cyclic existence and experience suffering. And he make the image of a bucket in a well. So I make this very ridiculous drawing, but it's kind of funny. So if I can share it, I can share it? Yes. Okay, so you see this are my talented skills. Can you see it? Yes. Okay. So you see, there's 6 points, and through these 6 points, Chandrakirti, he explained how the sentient beings, which are similar like a bucket in a well, they cycle into cyclic existence and they experiment suffering. So he said that all of this is come from the supplement and the self-commentary. He said that sentient beings are bound, by the very tightrope of contaminated action and affliction. So contaminated action and affliction, you have to be, it must click in your mind. That's the truth of origin. The rope of contaminated action and affliction. And even Lama Tsongkhapa goes back into that in his 3 principal aspects of the past, where he said that sentient beings, they are similar to, they are powerlessly carried away by the river of the currents of the four rivers, and they are tightly bound by the rope of action, so difficult to untie. I say, so because of this affliction, because there is ignorance, there is affliction, and because there is affliction, there is action, and because there is action, there is rebirth. Okay, that's how. So sentient beings are tightly bound by this very tight rope of contaminated action and affliction. So this process of and this is the number one. Okay, the number one. And this process of cyclic existence depends on being impelled by unpeaceful, untamed mind. That's the second. You see the person there. Is this the process that impelled everything? And it is unpeaceful, untamed mind. And what is that? It is the mind obviously is under the influence of the conception of true existence. But this is not enough. I mean, this is, yes, of course, this is enough. But there is something else that comes. It is the unappropriate mental attention. What we call the unappropriate mental attention. It is a mind that constantly thinks about the attribute of objects. So if the object is pleasant, then he always thinks about the attribute of the pleasant object. And if the object is unpleasant, then he always obsesses with the unpleasant aspect of the object. And so this made the mind very unpeaceful, very afflicted, because the function of this mental activity is to increase affliction, increase the proliferation of affliction. So due to this conceptualization, the affliction are always, recurrent in the mind of the person. And then sentient beings, you see, they ceaselessly wander from the lower state of existence up to the peak of cyclic existence. You see, they are they're like one turn of the windlass that is immediately followed by the other. So you see the well is cyclic existence, and the sentient beings, they wander, you see, from up and down ceaselessly. And the bucket, you see, the bucket tumbles to the bottom of the well, and these sentient beings naturally and effortlessly goes downward. If we look at our mind naturally goes down. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of effort to have a virtuous state of mind. It takes a lot of introspection. It takes a lot of control, a lot of will, you see, to redirect the mind toward a positive thinking or toward a positive state of mind. If we leave it like this, naturally afflictions arise, attachment arise, resentment arise, aversion, etc., etc. So it's like this bucket, you see, you just naturally, effortlessly, it goes down, and it is drawn up with great exertion. It is drawn up with towards the highest realm of existence. You see, it goes up with a lot of effort. It's very difficult to obtain what we have obtained now, for example, precious human rivers. Even though it seems like to be rotten somehow on its essence, you see, somehow it's rotten. Nevertheless, it takes a lot of effort to get there. See, so this is why it is our responsibility not to waste it in a meaningless pursuit, meaningless activity, but to make sure that continuously through our activities, to our efforts, virtuous activity, continuously we can find good condition, and we meet again, you see, the Buddha's path, and finally actualize the result. So this is our responsibility. And the fifth point, you see, the fifth point, this is the three set of the thoroughly afflicted, namely, which are, so this is it goes back to the 12 links. The 12 links that explain the process of circling in cyclic existence in great details. I mean, it's something you will have to study. Okay, all of these 12 links, they can be subsumed into three categories: affliction. There are links that are afflictions, links that are actions, and links that are the result. So the links that are the causal links that are afflictions are ignorance, craving, and grasping. And due to that, there is the links of actions, which are the compositional actions and existence. Existence is the action, but at a different state of evolution, when it is ready to propel a rebirth. It's called existence. So it actually giving the name of the result to the cause, but it is actually an action. And finally, we have the result. The result are consciousness, name and form, six sphere, contact, feeling, birth, aging, and death. You see, so all of these three cycles of affliction, actions, and resulting rebirth, you see, they spin, they arise one after the other, and it is impossible to understand which comes first. It's like the chicken and the egg, basically. So this order cannot be determined. The three sets of the thoroughly afflicted, see, they arise one after the other continuously. For example, our state, our present state, because we have this body and this mind, necessarily we will produce affliction, necessarily they will produce, you see, a future rebirth. Just because we have this body and this mind, necessarily in the future we'll have the same. So it is very difficult to understand what comes first. Is it the ignorance and the action, or it is actually the body and mind? It is a result of this afflictive state of mind, you see. So that's what's going on here. And then the sixth point explain that just as the bucket, you see, when it comes down, it is drawn up with great effort, and it always, you see, battered on the side, you see. And this, so it means that sentient beings in psychic existence, they always have to experience the three types of suffering. They batter on the side. You see, they're like this bad treatment. And this is the three types of suffering. You know, the suffering of pain, the suffering of change, and the all-pervasive compounding suffering. So by meditating in this way, see, just by contemplating this and reflecting on this, we can understand our own situation. Of course, this can be applied to ourselves. We can, by reflecting on this, we can really understand our own situation and develop the wish, we see, to arise, to emerge from this situation. But we can also use that understanding, you know, that we have for ourselves, for others. We apply it to others. Exactly, I'm in this situation, everybody. And in this way, we have a basis to develop great compassion, and which is the root for the bodhicitta and the state of Buddha. So those are things, you see, that needs to be contemplated. So now when we talk about the three types of suffering, maybe I can stop this. When we talk about the three types of suffering, we have said, you know, the suffering of suffering, there is a suffering of change, and the all-pervasive compounding suffering, which are coarser and subtler level of suffering. Okay, the suffering of pain or the suffering of suffering, it is very easy to understand because even animals, see, they're understanding everything which is painful, physically or mentally, falls into this category of the suffering of suffering, and everybody wants to be liberated from the suffering of suffering. The suffering of change, okay, it is something much more subtle, and it requires more investigation to understand what is this suffering of change. The suffering of change, it is what we, us, ordinary and confused beings, call happiness, pleasure. So it is actually, so yes, it is actually a pleasant feeling. But if we analyze the nature of this feeling, or in particularly the nature of what produced that feeling, we will understand that it is not a real pleasure, but it is just as the nature of suffering. Okay, So it is linked to, so there is different way to look at this. One, you can say, on a very, like a coarse, superficial level, you can say it is the happiness that I experience in cyclic existence it is suffering because it does not last. Well, at the end, just the experience, there is a happy experience, and then at the end is finished, and are only left with the desire to reproduce it again. But somehow I can never manage that. It's never exactly as the first time. It's never exactly in the same way. So there's like this, okay? Because things change, everything that has a beginning has a end. So therefore, all my pleasure, they will end up, finishing. So that's not the real meaning. The real meaning is that the happiness in cyclic existence, you see, in this dimension, happiness is destroyed by its own causes. What actually produce happiness today, that very same thing will make you suffer tomorrow. Simply because the support, the basis on which you try to extract happiness, it is not in its nature to produce happiness. Or happiness, or pleasant experience that we you can call this any way you want. See, happiness, pleasure, satisfaction, whatever. The level of happiness and pleasure that we experience, it is not real happiness. It is a mere fading of a previous unsatisfaction, on the previous unsatisfactory, uncomfortable situation. It is like, you probably know these things, is like going to the beach in summer. I don't know, in Russia, probably the same, but in Europe, we are all obsessed with going to the beach in summer, okay? So we all save our money, and as soon as we have vacation, we all rush to the beach, and we just lay there on the sand, under the sun. So at the beginning, you see, it's somehow there is pleasant, but slowly, you see, because it is a nature, it is the nature of things. Slowly, it becomes unpleasant, and it is too hot. So what you do is you stand up and you dive into the water. See, you dive, and it is pleasant again. You see, happiness. You experience happiness again. But there also, you see, slowly, it turns into suffering. It becomes unpleasant, becomes cold. You start to be cold. So what you do, you get out, and again you lay on the sun, on the sand, under the sun, and then again, it's pleasant. But then slowly, again, it transforms into an uncomfortable experience, and you're drawn to dive again into the fresh water. So you see, that's pretty much describe our existence. Everything that we do, we just, you see, moving from one situation to another. So there is like a uncomfortable experience, and it is not identified or labeled in our mind as an uncomfortable experience. We just feel the pressure or the desire, you see, the driving force to just move on to something else. And see, so there is this uncomfortable situation, and due to a new situation, that uncomfortable situation ceases. You see, it fades. And we experience that fading as being happiness. That fading, you see, that fading for us is happiness. And we think that what has brought this fading is inherently a source of happiness. So we become attached. For example, you are hungry. Okay? And in Italy, we have this obsession for pizza. Yeah, so everybody is obsessed with pizza. So when we get hungry, we go and eat pizza. And you see, you eat your pizza and you feel some kind of a happy feeling there. But if you actually analyze, see, the happiness feeling is produced by the fading of the suffering of hunger. If you were not hungry, eating is actually suffering. If you're not hungry, eating is actually suffering. You see, if pizza were inherently from his own side a source of happiness, then it will always produce happiness, because you see, it's in its nature to produce happiness. So it will always produce happiness. It will always produce happiness at the beginning, at the middle, at the end. Not only that, but the more you eat pizza, the more you'll be happy, because it is in the nature of pizza to produce happiness. This is what we think, you see, at the non-analytical level. This is how we operate in life, completely obscured. So what is the suffering of change? You see, the suffering of change, it is like the two plate of a balance. You say probably this in English, balance. So you see, there's one suffering is manifest, and for example, you have the suffering of hunger, and because you start to eat, because you're eating, you see, then the suffering of hunger diminish, and the suffering of eating start to arise. So at the beginning, it is so subtle that you don't realize it is suffering. But then if you continue to eat, then it becomes manifest. It becomes manifest. So everything in life is like this. This is the best you can get in cyclic existence. Pretty depressing. This is the best you can hope in cyclic existence. It is the suffering of change. So when you open your fridge, suffering of change. When you call your friend on the phone, suffering of change. You see, when you put a movie on the TV, is a suffering of change. So everything is like this, is suffering of change. So we are drawn, going for a walk, across the world to go to swim with the turtles or whatever. At the end, you see, it's always suffering of change. It is happy. It is a pleasant feeling only because there is an unpleasant situation that arises before, and the fading of that unpleasant situation, or that unpleasant situation can be insatisfaction. See, just insatisfaction. Then, due to that insatisfaction, then that insatisfaction fades due to this meeting of new condition, and you impute. So you label that situation as that fading of insatisfaction, or that fading of suffering, as being happiness, but it is just a fading of the suffering. Okay, it's like going to the bathroom. Same. It's a relief. It is a relief. So this is the suffering of change. So so I'm not saying that you have to abandon whatever you're doing. You have to stop going to movies or these kind of things, or stop to eat pizza, for example. No, I'm just saying, analyze, reflect on things, because now those things, they take so much importance in our life. All our lives is based on those things. And because that, we have no time and no space for anything else. That's the problem. So by understanding, you see, that actually the level of suffering you aspire in your heart, you see, that permanent suffering, that permanent happiness, that stable happiness, because what we don't want some kind of a experience of pleasant, which is a mere relief, and fades very quickly. We don't want that. I'm not interested in that. We want something which is stable, something that lasts. See, something, happiness that lasts. So that understand that all the supports that you actually presently relied on, they will never satisfy you. Never. The only thing that happens is you generate more, because we are confused, we generate more attachment for pizza, more attachment for going to the beach, more attachment for movies, you see. And if you have more attachment, automatically you have more aversion for everything, every situation, every people that prevent your obtaining whatever you desire. So the mind becomes very disturbed at the end. Anyway, so this is just reflect on that. It's important to reflect. And then there is the all-pervasive compounding suffering. What is this all-pervasive compounding suffering? It is even like a subtler level. It's even like a subtler level of suffering. It is our present state, our present situation, because we do not understand reality, because we are confused. Then we have to experience the two other type of suffering. The suffering, the all-pervasive compounding suffering, it is this body and this mind, which contains defective characteristics. They are not perfect. They have defective characteristics, and due to these defective characteristics, at any moment, you can experience one of the two other type of suffering. For example, now maybe you feel relaxed, maybe you feel depressed, I don't know. You feel relaxed, and it is enough for you to hear something unpleasant. And then that sound, you see, which is the vibration, you know, that sound is able to disturb you for months. For months. You're there, relaxed, you know, you see a pleasant shape, and then you become attached, and then you start to conceptualize, and you lose appetite, you lose sleep over this object of attachment. Yeah. So all-pervasive compounding suffering is like, you see, we are always on the verge of experiencing one of the two other types, just because of this body and mind, they have defective characteristics, and those defective characteristics, they are like the door of the open door for anything. We can experience the extreme. There is no guarantee that tomorrow we are like experience the very, very profound suffering. We have this potential, and that's our situation. At any moment, our mind can be disturbed by word. Sometimes you even don't need, you see, to hear something. You're just alone in your room, and you're waging war in your head. So that's the confused mind, you see. So we have this potential. So because we have like ignorance, with respect to reality, then we have attachment, aversion, belligerence, resentment, pride, envy. We have all of these things. See, automatically we have all of these things. And because we have that, we cannot be, happiness for us is impossible right now. It's just impossible, because our mind is extremely fragile. We have a very hard mind, but in paradox, you see, the paradox is very fragile. Or peace or serenity, the very little peace or serenity we can experience during one day, and we can count it in terms of minutes, in the best case. This is actually very fragile and can be destroyed only by thinking of something unpleasant. We even don't need particular condition. This is our state of mind. So happiness for us, you see, happiness in this condition is completely something impossible to actualize right now. We have the potential for that, but it is impossible right now to be happy. So we have to train the mind. And in terms of the training of the mind, we have to distinguish, you see, 3 levels of training of the mind. But I'm afraid I'm not going to stop right now, because otherwise we go on until 12 o'clock. So that might not be proper. Okay, but we'll keep it for next time. So maybe if there is questions, I can take a couple of questions.
There are lots of questions actually, but it's probably not enough time. So anyway, we start. So the first question is, why is omniscience not enough for helping all living beings? So why do we have to additionally develop such qualities like kindness, love, etc., as because of omniscience one already sees all the ways how to help all living beings to get rid of all the sufferings.
Okay, so the first thing is omniscience is not attainable without compassion. You see, just by the subtlety of the level of imprints that you have to eliminate, the mind intended to self-liberation is not able to purify that level of obscuration. For example, what we call the harats, which are those who obtain the liberation in the individual vehicle, they have the same wisdom. And there is no difference of wisdom in terms of individual vehicle or universal vehicle. The wisdom that realizes emptiness, same. Nevertheless, with that mind alone, they are not able to eliminate the subtle level of imprint, which are the knowledge obstructions. Also, so this is one thing, you know, so only a mind, which object of intent is the enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. You see, the mind does not observe one's own happiness. It observes the happiness of all sentient beings without exception. So the strength of this mind, it is incredible, just incredible. And the wisdom which is supported by that mind has the ability to purify the subtler of the subtler, the subtlest of the subtlest of the knowledge obstruction. So this is one way to explain it. The other way is, so omniscience, you see, omniscience is not attainable without altruism. Altruism, the state of Buddhahood is only a state that exists for the benefit of others. Otherwise, for your own benefit, the liberation is enough. Liberation is enough. So the state of Buddha, it is a state particular because there is no alternance during the meditative stabilization and the post-meditative. For the other, they only realize emptiness in a meditative equipoise, and when they rise, they have the appearance of conventional phenomena, and those phenomena, nevertheless, they appear as truly existent. There is no believing in this, but they still appear. In the state of Buddha, you see, there is no any more alternance. So during in the state of Buddha is the mind which is forever absorbed in emptiness. But while being emerged within that meditative absorption, all conventional phenomena appears. So that's the difference. That's the difference. Also, the training of the 10 bhumis, in particular the first 6, are necessary to ripen one's own continuum. You see, to benefit the 6 perfections, which is the bodhisattva training, is necessary to ripen one's own continuum and develop actually the qualities to be able to help to benefit others. You need the perfection of generosity, you need the perfection of ethics, you need the perfection of patience, of concentration, of wisdom, and then the other 4 perfection to be able to fully, you see, benefit others. I'm not saying that the harat of the individual vehicle are not of benefit, but their benefit is very limited compared to, is insignificant compared to the benefit that the Buddha himself can bring. Even, you see, even the state of the harat arise from the teachings of the Buddha. So actually the state of harat, it is the state of nirvana. It is some kind of island emanated by the Buddha, you see, for those who cannot cross the ocean of cyclic existence at once. You see, you have to cross and go to the state of Buddha at once. So the Buddha, you see, he emanated as a skillful means, displays the nirvana where someone can rest and after continue his path. So just the qualities that exist on a Buddha state are the result of the training in the 6th perfection, which does not exist in the individual vehicle. does not exist. I'm not saying that the individual vehicle doesn't have compassion, doesn't have love. It does, but it doesn't have great compassion. And the great compassion in the Mahayana is particular because it is not only the desire, you see, that others be free from suffering. It is compassion that desire to protect, that assume on oneself the responsibility of this, of the happiness, you know, the well-being of others. So that the image can be, we can have, for example, is like a, there's like a family, you see, going, I don't know, like through the port. They're going to the port, you see, and there's many people there. And then one of the young child, you see, he fell into the water. So everybody there will have this desire that that child be safe. But there is only one that dives, see, that dive, the mother or the father dives and pull him out himself. But everybody has this desire. So that's the general compassion. But there is one that actually carried on himself this responsibility, that assumed the burden, you see, of the happiness of others. And that's the bodhisattva. And to be able to fully accomplish the benefit of others, he needs the training of this in the 6 perfections. Also because through the training of the 6 perfections, in particular, so with the 6th perfection itself, the number 6, he created the cause for the Buddha's truth body, so the Dhammakaya. And with the other, he created the cause for the form body of the Buddha, the form body. So it is a technical things, okay. So, but yeah. So for now, we stay in this. I hope I answer, okay, somehow. Other question?
Yes. Next question is, I think I'm confused. Is if everything is interdependent and doesn't have its own inherited independent characteristics, then how to be a clear light, the nature of the mind? Is it not an inherited characteristic already? What does it mean in the context of interdependence? Okay.
The fact that phenomena do not have characteristics, I've never said that phenomena do not have characteristics. I have my own characteristics. For example, I am a man, etc., etc. I am a monk. Those are characteristics. But those characteristics, you see, they depend on causes and conditions. What do we mean by their own characteristics? It means that everything depends on cause and condition. You see, I'm not saying that the phenomena doesn't have an entity. It has an entity, but its entity is gained to the coming of together of causes and condition. All phenomena are somehow, if we take in terms of compounded phenomena, they are results. Everything is a result. You see, so if it's a result, it needs an interdependence. You know, there is a network of interdependence that comes together and are able to produce that phenomena. But that phenomena, due to causes and conditions, it has characteristics. See? But it doesn't have characteristics which are self-established. It doesn't have a nature which is self-established. It does not exist by its own power. It doesn't have the ability that to set itself up, okay? To set itself up. It depends, you see, many causes and conditions, and then the phenomena, you know, arise with characteristics, of course, but these characteristics are the result of causes and conditions coming together. Okay? That's the way we should understand things. I hope it helped.
Yeah, but the question was, yeah, well, it was already in the first part of the question. So, but the question itself was about the clear light, the nature of the mind. You know, so the clear light, is it not a characteristic itself? And what does it mean in the context of interdependence to be a clear light mind? That was the question.
But the mind itself comes due to causes and conditions. The mind itself comes into production due to causes and conditions. So even this clarity of the mind, it is due to the coming together, this ability of the mind. You see, for example, the eye consciousness experiencing blue, the eye consciousness experiencing blue. So this ability of the mind to know the blue comes due to the causes and conditions. Well, for now, so there is the observe object condition, there is an empowering condition, and there's the immediately preceding condition, which is the imprints, you know, of clarity. This is an imprint that gives the ability of the mind to be generated into the entity of a clear and cognizing entity. It's not easy. It is very subtle, and it is way above my head right now. Okay.
I think the author of the question wants to talk to you. So I don't know how to do it.
It's okay. Maybe next time. Okay. On another. Maybe I take one more questions. Okay.
So the next question is, how can I understand the emptiness of the mind if there is a concept of the continuum of the mind? What is this continuum based on?
Well, the continuum by definition is a series of instants. There's a series of instants. The mind in Buddhism, maybe I don't know what kind of, everybody has their own idea of what the mind is. You know, maybe someone might think that the mind is some kind of a substance, so like some kind of substance. But actually, the presentation of the mind in Buddhism is in terms of instant which arise one after the other. So according to the different school of philosophy, they posit, you see, they have a measure of subtle impermanence, because we go into subtle impermanence. All phenomena that depend on cause and condition, they are impermanent. And when what we mean by impermanence, we mean that they are momentary and they do not abide more than an instant. And everybody has his own, different schools have their own measure of what this subtle impermanence is. And if we move to the Sotantrika, for example, then they will give as a measure of impermanence the lapse of a complete action, of the smallest complete action, which is a finger snap. And they divide that finger snap into 65 instants. And this is how they present subtle impermanence. So an instant of mind, you see, is one of the 1/65th of that. So the mind is an entity that is produced and destroyed instant by instant at that speed. The same is the speed of, the same is for all compounded phenomena like the table, like your own body. I mean, for the body is easier because we can now, you know, probe with electronic microscope, and we can see that at a subatomic level, everything, you know, is like is in a destroying, mutating state. Nothing abide a single instance. And, in Buddhism, because the mind is also an impermanent phenomena, then it also subject to subtle impermanence, and it is therefore momentary. So when we talk about the continuum of the mind, we are simply talking about this continuity of instant that arise one after the other. That's what we mean by continuum of the mind. Okay? And so maybe we're gonna leave it there, and then okay, we next time we can discuss together. I guess you guys will also have like reviews or something, or discussion. I don't know exactly. So you can talk together. Anyway, it's very important to talk among each others, because this is a big process of your learning. It's a big part of your learning process. Everybody, when you listen or you read, you understand in a particular way, or you understand only one portion, and then by confronting it with someone else, you can correct your own understanding, or you can complete your own understanding. So it's very important to, of course, it's not possible to do it physically now, but I think now with the technology, you see, you can eventually discuss with each other, and yeah, trying to gain more understanding and stabilize your understanding. And I think we'd meet, maybe I think it's Monday or something like this, and maybe to have like some more like question answer, something like this. I don't know exactly. We'll see. Okay, so thank you very much, and good night, everybody. So now maybe we make the dedication. So how do we proceed? Something is going to appear to our screens. Yes. Okay.
So I read in Russian for everybody.
Okay.
Силы этой добродетели да достигну я быстро состояния гуру Будды и переведу всех без исключения существ скитальцев к этому просветленному состоянию. Пусть драгоценная высшая бодхичита, та, что не породилась, да породится, а та, что породилась, да не ослабеет, но возрастает все больше и больше.
Thank you very much. And I hope it was useful. If you're more confused, then I'm sorry. Okay. And anyway, it's very complicated. Okay, it's very you have chosen something